Hello, and welcome to your Skyus 160 tutorial video, brought to you by Connectus Corporation. My name is Brian East, and today we're going to go over everything you need to know to get up and running on your new Inseego Skyus 160 device. We'll go over three things. One, some features about your Skyus. Two, how to set it up initially. And three, some troubleshooting tips if you need them. Now, prior to shipping the device, there's a whole lot of configuration and activation with the cellular company that's done already on your behalf. The SIM card has also been installed into the device and should be ready to go, so you're not going to have to worry about any of that. This small device is compact, robust, works great in many homes, in most homes actually, and one of the most interesting features about it is on the underside here is a battery backup. So you can take it on the road with you. It's got about 12 hours of battery backup, as opposed to most other routers which need to be plugged in all of the time. Some basic features I'd like you to understand is there are 4 LED lights on the device. The first one is on the front. This is your power LED. And then at the top, there are 3 LEDs. The top one right here is your cellular strength. The middle one is your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth strength. And the last one, which you're probably not going to use much, if at all, is your GPS signal. Now let's go over the unboxing and assembly of your Skyus 160. All right, let's take a look inside. Perhaps the first thing you'll notice is the simplicity. There's not a whole lot to it, and it's by design. It's a very compact device. You've got the Inseego Skyus 160 device itself, the power adapter, and 3 antennae. When we pull this out, you'll notice that there are 3 LEDs. One is your cellular strength, one is the Wi-Fi, and one is the indicator for the GPS. On the back here, you've got your I/O, the 4-pin power supply. You can also get power via PoE Ethernet, and then you've got a USB-C connection, which will also give it power. Now, the main power supply on the left-hand side, this is what comes in the box. It's most commonly used in your house. The middle one, the Ethernet port, what's called PoE, that's very rarely used at home. It's more of a business thing. And on the right-hand side is a USB connection. And if you use it like you would plug in your phone to the wall with a little brick, it's definitely, I don't recommend you use that as often as you use the one on the far left, though. And this is your actual power button. On this other side, you've got 2 cellular antenna ports, SMA ports, as well as a GPS one. The SMA port is a little copper connector on the back of the Skyus 160. It has 3 of them, and it's simply the little thing that's used to screw in the antennas. Now on the back, and I want you to pay attention here, is 3 stickers. This one is everything in California causes cancer. This one is your FCC information. And over on the right-hand side here, this is how you're going to originally log into the machine. It'll tell you your SSID, and then underneath it will have the password. An SSID is just the name of your network that you're going to connect to. My SSID from my Skyus says Skyus-375A. Yours probably be different. It'll say Skyus-something or another. The next thing that we'll do is to put your antennae on. Now, it's important to note that you've got 2 cellular antennae that look very similar to the one GPS antenna, and they are not interchangeable. You'll have your cellular right here, and it'll be written down at the base, and then your GPS is written at the base as well. So when we connect them on the back, make sure you've got the correct antenna for the correct slot. It'll tell you cell 1, cell 2, and GPS. And as you're connecting these, make sure to twist them in thumb tight. You don't want to do it too hard. You'll break the device, and if you do it too easy, then you won't get a very good connection. It'll be wobbly and kind of annoying. And right there. Now, as we mentioned before, there are 3 different ways that you can get power to this device, not including the battery backup. And the one that's included in here is your 4-pin battery adapter, power adapter. You just plug it in right there, plug it into the wall, and you're ready to go. Now, when you first log into the device using the credentials that you find in here, it's very important that the very first thing that you do is change your passwords. First, you're going to change the admin password, which is the password you use to change the way the system works. And then you're going to change the password for your Wi-Fi connection. So it's going to spit out a 5G and a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi signal, and you can change the password for both of those. If you want, you can also change the SSID and give it something clever. Once you've done that, configure it however you want, if you want to further. Other than that, you're ready to go. After you've fully assembled your device, go ahead and plug it into the wall for power. At this point, you're going to want to give it about 60 seconds to fully boot up and connect to the cellular network. And after that time, it'll start broadcasting your Wi-Fi connection. So you go down to the bottom of your computer and click on the Wi-Fi symbol. Click here and find your Skyus Wi-Fi connection. You click on that and click connect, and it's going to ask for the network security key. This is the password that is on the underside of your device, that bottom right-hand sticker. And I'm going to type mine in. Oops, wrong letter. And it'll tell me that it's connected. Keep in mind, yours might say connected, no internet access. That's fine, we'll fix that. But this is how you connect to the network. After you've connected to the network, you're going to open up an internet browser. I'm using Google Chrome. You can use Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge or Firefox, whichever one that you use. Click on at the top of where it says search Google or type URL at the URL bar, and you're going to type in the following numbers: 192.168.1.1 and hit enter. And this will take you to this splash page. And it's going to ask for your admin password. And that password is the exact same one that you use to connect to the network. So again, look on the underside of your Skyus device and find that password and type that in. And when you've entered in your password, this will take you to this page. Now, the first thing we're going to want to do is to change the admin password. The one you currently use is on the underside of the box and easily found by anyone who would want to get into your system. The way we're going to do this is go to the settings on the left, then go to device, and type in over here your password. This is the one that's on the underside of your box. Hit continue, type it in again, and then the next 2 boxes are going to be your new password. It's going to demand that it's at least 8 characters. Try to make it as complex as possible, and underneath that is your in case you forget your password. What is your date of birth? You can choose between that, your mother's maiden name, the name of the street you grew up on. I will just do the date of birth. And then hit Save Changes. And you're good to go. The next thing that we'll do is to change your Wi-Fi information. So right up here, when we're still in the settings, next to device is Wi-Fi hotspot. You click on that, and you've got your Wi-Fi name, SSID. I'm going to call this Brian's Internet. We'll leave this as default, and you're going to change your Wi-Fi password. And there it is. Now, I had at least one uppercase letter, one lowercase letter, a number, and some special characters. I recommend you do that. You can leave it at 2.4 or 5 gigahertz. And whenever you're done, hit Save Changes, hit Confirm, and you're good to go. So as you can see, the assembly and configuration of your Skyus 160 is very simple. After you're done assembling it and plugging it in, you'll log in and change the admin password, and then you'll change your Wi-Fi information. And now keep in mind that after you change your Wi-Fi information and click Save, the old Wi-Fi network, Skyus-whatever the name is, no longer exists. It will be replaced with the new name that you gave it. So you'll go and find that on your computer, log into it, and use the new password that you created. After that, you're ready to go. Happy surfing. Now here are a few troubleshooting tips if you do need them. If you're trying to connect to your device and you notice that there are no lights on it, then that means that it's in a powered off state. It's not powered on. And that means two things. One, it's either not plugged in, and well, two, also that the battery backup is either not in there or it is completely depleted. So the LED that we're going to look at here is your front one. Now there's a few different color of lights that'll go on there. If it's green, that means it's powered on and plugged in. If it's blue, that means it's on battery backup and it's got a very strong battery. If it's yellow, that means it's battery backup, but some of the battery has been used. And if it's magenta, go ahead and plug that thing in pretty quickly because it's about to go out. If it's blinking red, then that means the device is in an error state. You should probably call customer service for that. And now for a few general connectivity issues. So say you've plugged this in, you've got some kind of a connection, but it's really, really bad. And this will happen often in a rural environment. And so it's important for you to understand that there are actually two networks that this device is connecting to. And it's actually true of every cellular router that you're ever going to see. The first one is your cellular connection from the towers outside. This is how much of a internet is coming into the device. Once the device gets that internet from the cell towers, it then creates a Wi-Fi network that it passes out throughout your house. And this is just like any other Wi-Fi network. This is what you'll connect to with your phone or your laptop or your desktop, your smart TV, etc. So when we're troubleshooting, we're going to look at both of these. So for example, if you are noticing that you're connected via your phone and you've got full bars of Wi-Fi connection, but it's going really slow, that means two things. One, you're close enough to the device to get its Wi-Fi signal, but two, the device is not in a very good location to grab the cellular connection from outside. And if that's the case, and this is where the battery backup comes in really handy, because you can unplug it from the wall, take your router and walk it around the house. The closer you are to the exterior of the house, generally speaking, the better. If you have multiple levels, then higher up is going to be better. So it's going to be kind of a trial and error to try to figure out. Now this top LED here tells you how strong your cellular signal is. If it's blue, you've got a very, very strong signal. Green means you have a good signal. Yellow means it's a poor signal. And red means it's not a good signal at all. And so you're going to want to find the location in the house that has the strongest signal. If you do run into a scenario where there's just no good area in the house, there are solutions for that. You can get an external antenna. So we looked at how to connect these antennas in the earlier in the video. These SMA connectors, these little copper connectors on the back, you can unplug the paddle and get a high gain antenna off of Amazon or from Bridge Internet and place that somewhere in the house, higher up, or even externally outside of the house, and gives a much stronger cellular connection. Most of the time that's not necessary, but sometimes it is. Now, if you've got a strong cellular connection and then you're finding that on your phone or on your laptop you see just a few bars, like a weak Wi-Fi connection, that means that you're too far away from the device itself. So there's a couple of different solutions for that. So one of them is that you can try to balance how close you are to the cellular source, because these two ideas are kind of in opposition of each other. When you want to place it for the best cellular connection, you want it as far out towards the edge of the house as possible. But for Wi-Fi, you want it as close to the center of your house as possible so it can blast Wi-Fi throughout the house. So you're going to want to find that sweet spot. Now, on some larger houses, particularly those with maybe a detached garage that somebody's converted into a guest house, or multiple levels, sometimes just a regular Wi-Fi antenna, which is internal here, by the way, so you don't see it, is not going to be enough. But there are many solutions for that as well. You've got Wi-Fi repeaters. You can put in a mesh network. There are all sorts of different ways that you can extend that Wi-Fi throughout your house that will accompany your Inseego Skyus 160. This is not in the scope of this video because it's a little bit more of an involved conversation, so you will want to call customer service if that's the case. But before you go spending money on that stuff, definitely try to find different areas of the house for the best location. Now, another possibility is if you have a really weak cellular connection, and I've seen this happen before, and we talked a little earlier about making sure that the GPS antenna is the one in the middle and your cellular connections are the ones on the outside. They're not, even though they look the same, they are not interchangeable. And so if you only have one of these cellular antenna connected, or you've got two, but one of them is actually the GPS, you're going to get a really, really poor signal. So make sure that's the case. Now, the lights, the LEDs on the center LED on the top here, this is going to indicate your Bluetooth connections and your Wi-Fi connections. The green refers to Wi-Fi connections and the blue refers to the Bluetooth connections. So sometimes you might have a Bluetooth printer nearby, but most of your devices will be Wi-Fi connections. And again, if it's in a red, blinking red or solid red, that means it's in an error state. We should call customer service. But if it shows up green and or blue, that means it's working just fine. If it's flashing, that means that you've got things connected to it. So that's a good thing to understand. The bottom LED is your GPS. And as I mentioned before, you're probably not going to be doing much with GPS. This is more of a function of mobile networks that, maybe law enforcement vehicles or food trucks, things that move around a lot, where GPS is important for tracking, central management. But if you're having this just in your house, you're probably not going to want to get a GPS plan to put on there, or maybe you will. And if you do, your GPS will be located, indicator will be here. And just like with the other devices, if it's blue, green, or yellow, you've got a good GPS lock. If not, you get a red, then it's in an error state. And finally, a little bit about placement of your device. So once you've found the general location that you want to put the device in, where it's a good balance between cellular connection and Wi-Fi exposure, make sure that you avoid a couple of things. One, you want to avoid putting it inside of an enclosed space, like a cabinet. Understand that anything that gets in between you and your device, or your device and the cellular connection, creates some interference. Now, some materials create more interference than others. Metal is going to be worse than plaster, but the fewer things that you can have in between there, the better. So I would recommend keeping it outside of an enclosed area, maybe on top of the cabinet, Generally, a little bit higher up is better, but that's not going to make too big of a difference. And the other suggestion is to keep it away from high-powered electrical stuff like a generator or a fuse box. That creates what's called EMI, electromagnetic interference, and that will interfere with your signal. Now, the last thing, and this is a little bit more complex, and it's not going to apply to the vast majority of people who watch this video, but if you have multiple Wi-Fi connections inside of your house, different Wi-Fi providers, you've got different routers, it's possible that they can interfere with each other. And if that's the case, we can go over, you would call customer service and we would go over selecting which bands to use. It'll say, all right, I'm going to use this band for this one and this band for that one so that they don't interact. But if you have a lot of them, a lot of different Wi-Fi connections, 2 or 3 or more, and you're detecting kind of a limited Wi-Fi connection here, then that might be one possibility, and we can go into that. But hopefully this video has provided a little basic troubleshooting. You can get some of the big low-hanging fruit possibilities out of the way. And usually these troubleshooting tips will take care of about 90 to 95% of your issues. This is Brian East with Connectus Corporation on behalf of Bridge Internet. Thank you so much for tuning in, and y'all have a wonderful day.